Hi, guys. My name is John Collins from Bentonville, Arkansas, and I am just excited to meet everyone. We've heard some great stories already this morning, and it is a pleasure to be able to share a little bit more about myself and what we're doing here at ChargeGuard. So without further waiting, I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen and get started. So just 1 second. Okay, can I confirm that everyone is able to see my screen? All right, awesome. As I said, my name is John Collins. I am the founder and CEO of ChargeGuard. For over a decade, I've dedicated my life to growing not only my own brands, but also being responsible for the growth of some of the world's largest brands on the Amazon platform. Through my brand management agency, OmniX, we've managed over $500 million in sales and $50 million in Amazon ads for more than 200 brands. But there's one area of Amazon that's been overlooked by almost everyone, and that is what I'd like to share more with you about today. $12 billion. That's the amount of money that Amazon is charging sellers and vendors every year in deductions and fees. It's to the point to where some brands may be spending 50% or more of their product price on various fees to be selling on Amazon. And you know what we've discovered? Up to 70 cents of every dollar charged is charged erroneously, meaning that they never should have been charged in the first place. This is clearly an issue. To understand why this is occurring, I have to explain just a bit how Amazon works. Amazon's 3P open marketplace, Seller Central, it has an open API that makes it very easy for companies to build software solutions that help sellers manage their Amazon business. However, the 1P Vendor Central platform does not have this API. This makes it very difficult for brands to leverage similar software tools. So of course, Amazon's vendors are literally begging for help. I've captured just a few of the hundreds of messages that are just like these on my screen that are posted across different Vendor Central message boards and groups. Well, ChargeGuard is the first platform dedicated to not just recovering these erroneous fees, but also providing visibility to and protection against new fees from occurring on the Amazon account. Powered by narrative stories, ChargeGuard Insight does away with Amazon's cryptic codes. Only short stories delivered daily with action-oriented steps to improve profitability on the Amazon platform. Sanofi, the company behind brands like Gold Bond, Allegra, and Icy Hot, said ChargeGuard has taken the frustration out of deductions resolution and equipped us with tools and insight to drive continuous improvement initiatives. We've actually monetized our go-to-market strategy so that we actually get paid to build our sales network, which we call Certified Recovery Specialist. We created a 4-week training program called Recovery Rush that trains and certifies sales professionals so that they have an exclusive license to sell and promote ChargeGuard and earn commissions on their deals. How have we done? Here's our numbers. We currently have 220 certified recovery specialists that are out talking to brands about ChargeGuard. Our sales funnel starts with our CRSs, offering a free audit to brands, and it ends with over 60% of agreements presented ending up as closed clients, which is really awesome. Here's some more stats. So far, we've surpassed over $1 million in revenue across 37 clients. We have recovery potential of over 7 million. Our clients represent over $500 million in Amazon revenue. We also just signed the nation's largest Amazon brand management company as a distribution partner. And we've done all of this while still in beta and no marketing spend. Our business model is quite straightforward. After an initial engagement fee is paid, we charge a fee of 15 to 25% of what we recover. There are 2 drivers that will determine who will win in this landscape. One, the product that operates on both Amazon marketplaces, 1P and 3P. And 2, the product that disputes and recovers fees so that money is actually put back into Amazon seller accounts. ChargeGuard sits squarely in position to deliver on this goal. Working together since 2015, our leadership team has over 80 years of merchandising, e-commerce, shopper marketing, and direct Amazon brand management experience. We are well positioned to be the leading team to scale the Amazon fee management industry. We're in the process of raising a $4 million seed round with a 20% discount. We'll be hiring new developers, expanding to all of Amazon's global marketplaces, and reach over $1 billion in GMV and on the Amazon platform. I hope you'll join us on our mission to put profitability back in the hands of Amazon's vendors and sellers. I look forward to hearing more from you soon. Or how about now for any questions?
John, thank you so much for the presentation. How do you onboard vendors? How do you search for them, and how do they find you? How do you work with them?
Wonderful question. So up to this point, we've really leveraged our external, what we call certified recovery specialist. How we outreach to them right now is we have different data sets that we're able to pull in so that we can see who sellers are on Amazon, either on the 1P side or on the 3P side. We have certain metrics that we're looking for in terms of revenue size, how much business they're doing utilizing Amazon FBA, which is Amazon Shipping Service. And we have a couple criteria that we're looking for, but we have an automated email outreach system that actually puts a dynamic video into an email, gives them a quick estimate in terms of how much money that we may be able to recover for them. And then we actually get them to schedule a Calendly appointment at that time.
Got it. Are there any specific sectors or items that you work with vendors, or is it like can be pretty much anything that is selling on Amazon?
It really is anything that's selling on Amazon. There are specific categories that drive higher cost. We actually see anywhere from 4% up to 18% going to these fees of what an Amazon's vendor or seller sells on Amazon. So it's considerable fees. The problem is many vendors don't see those fees. Amazon kind of makes it hard to see what those fees actually are. But when there's certain brands that have high SKU counts, 100 SKUs, 200 SKUs, or even 1,000 SKUs, and they're continually launching new items, for instance, cell phone cases. There's continually new items. That is prone to have problems in the logistic and supply chain, which causes these fees.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Why are there so many problems that Amazon has failed to address?
That's a great question. I think one of the things you have to lead into is there's something that Amazon kind of lives by, something we have an acronym that called MAM. What makes Amazon the most money? There are some great things that Amazon does in terms of what's made them allowed to scale so quickly, and that's leveraging a lot of automation, a lot of AI. So when you think about receiving so much inventory that Amazon's bringing in, there's no way that they're getting hands on so much of that. And so when there's the slightest things that are off, Amazon's just charging the fee. And I think one of the things that why this has become so prevalent is Amazon does not ask, hey, Scott, you messed up here, or you didn't put the barcode in the right place, and we need you to send money. They just pull the money out. They just pull the money or just never send it to you. And it's very hard to actually find those fees. So it's kind of a catch-22. Amazon is set up to scale, utilizing machines, but those machines are just making a lot of mistakes. And most brands just don't have the headcount and the team power to actually hold Amazon accountable.
I guess I'm confused. If this was any other industry, let's say it was the banking industry, you would have a class action lawsuit that would take these people to tasks. So it seems like the problem could be solved through litigation rather than just technology. So if that was to take place, what would that mean to your business?
I think that's a great question, and we actually get that question fairly often. And I think from Amazon's standpoint, where they're coming from is that, hey, this is just a matter of doing business. Amazon's not the only retailer that has this. Walmart has this, Walgreens has this. Chargebacks and deductions is a fairly common thing that happens just in overall retail. But what's happening right now, it's kind of a perfect storm. That's what's happening. You have so many, certainly due to the pandemic, you have so many larger retailers that are cramming inventory into e-commerce, Amazon, and you have these brands such as Yum and Walmart World. I'm here in Bentonville, Arkansas. Many of these brands are scaled and built to do business with brick and mortar, with the Walmarts and the Walgreens of the world. And there's just so many mistakes that's happening due to the e-commerce side of it. So Amazon is just at a higher rate in terms of what we see in fees relative to the Walmarts of the world. Is Amazon doing this deliberately? I wouldn't say that they're doing it deliberately, which is why there may not be a class action lawsuit. Amazon is actually doing a number of things to help with the situation. But it is also a catch-22. Even though Amazon is actually building certain things to help with disputing these fees, it's just most brands just don't have the manpower to do it. So to kind of give you a quick example, we call it a death by 1,000 cuts. I mentioned Sanofi there with Icy Hot and Gold Bond. And in a given month, they may have 15,000 chargebacks that amount from $2 or $3. And you have to try to dispute those things on a one-by-one basis, and just most companies just don't have the time to do it.
Hi, John. This is Kumar. What percent, and I get it, but what percentage of recovery do the customers have? And and how long does this process take? And is there
Great
such a thing
questions.
as, they look at your report and just say, yeah, we're good, we're just going to give you, or do they actually have to go through a transaction analysis and say why they're disputing it, why they can't make the payment? You understand what I'm trying to say.
100%. The first question there was what the recovery rate. So
Yeah.
we see it depends on the types of chargeback. There's really two things that's happening. There's chargeback and then there's shortages. Chargebacks are more so actual fees. Amazon's charging you $2, $3 or a percentage for something that you did outside of their guidelines. The shortages, Amazon is saying, hey, we ordered 1,000 units from you and you sent us 900. You need to prove to us that you sent us 1,000 units to get paid for them. So across the board, we see on average 70% recovery rate. That's, that may be 30% for certain chargebacks, 50% for certain chargebacks. But our biggest percentage of recovery is on the shortage side of it. Most of the time, when Amazon orders, 1,000 units from a vendor, they send them 1,000 units. There's something that's happening there with the machines and receiving. We simply have to go through and the automation and the channels that Amazon's putting in place for us to prove it to Amazon that we actually did send the inventory, the brand sent the inventory. I believe the next portion of your question was around what has to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. This is generally a 12-month process because there's certain escalation points that we have to go through with Amazon. The first piece of it is fairly automated. With the chargebacks, the first dispute, which we have to dispute when those chargebacks come in, is 30 days. So we have to open the dispute, but Amazon will take time to give a decision on it, either deny it or approve it. Those that are denied, we can go to a second stage and then a third stage. It's the same process with the shortages, which is where generally the bulk of the recovery is coming from. And that also has some stages. So the total process that we're looking at from a historical standpoint is generally about 12 months. And by the way, just remember the timeline standpoint, we can actually go back 5 years historical for the recovery efforts that we make.
Why would they not go into something like a blockchain solution and have a homebrew, blockchain solution to solve this?
I love that aspect of blockchain because I think you're absolutely right. There's no reason why all these mistakes are happening. And I think I'll preface this again. And when I say this is just overall retail. And there's no reason why there should be so much lost inventory or that you did this wrong or having to figure it out. I think it's a really, really interesting conversation that we'd love to have greater conversations. We're already starting to talk about how we can do some of those things. There's a couple, some blockchain technologies actually dedicated to the shipping industry and logistics. And I think it's really interesting for us to start thinking about how we could incorporate something like that.
What do you do with the data of the customer? Do you sell it or do you plan to sell it? Because that there are a lot of private equity firms and data aggregator companies that are specifically looking to collect data from Amazon. Let's say how many customers are buying like certain items in certain geographies. Do you see the angle for your business here?
There's an opportunity there, but I don't think that's an opportunity that we are trying to do or trying to solve or get involved in. Data integrity, data governance is super important. We go through extreme lengths. That has to be as we get access to accounts, because we do have to have access to those accounts, some of them very large accounts, is a very high concern for me, the brands we work with and what we do with that data. So the actual data that we use stays with the AWS, those platforms, Snowflake. So we really don't try to maintain that data at all.
Got it. And how much are you raising, or what is your plan? What is your next milestone, or what are you planning to achieve?
So $4 million is what we're looking to raise. This is our first raise. We've been bootstrapped thus far. What we're looking to do here in this first quarter is hire new developers. We've hired 4 new developers just for the last month. We're going to continue to add new developers. And the biggest thing that we're doing right now is the automation. We had a great question in terms of how are we doing all of this? We're building bots and automation scraping technology for us to go pull down the data, sort the data, computate the data, and build those cases. So for instance, the connection to the carriers, making all that as automated as possible. So when we spin our disputes, everything is there that Amazons are looking for to get things overturned. So that's the first thing, is getting more developers. The second thing is going to each of Amazon's global marketplaces. Right now, we're active here in the US, of course, but also Italy, And then UK, we're in beta in right now as well. Germany's next, but we'd like to be in all of Amazon's marketplaces.
Adding all the vendors you talked about, all the marketplaces, Walmart, Walgreens, and whatever it is, what is the total market, addressable market here?
That's a really wonderful question. It's because when I mentioned the $12 billion opportunity, that's just Amazon alone, right? On average, each of the other Walmart, Walmart, Walgreens, they average anywhere from 0.85%, maybe up to 1.5% in these same types of fees and deductions. So when you look at the overall, U.S. marketplace, where we at, over $1 trillion, and just here in the U.S. with retailers would be an addressable market for us after we expand on Amazon. Our target right now is Amazon. I think we have a tremendous amount of roadway with making ChargeGuard synonymous with Amazon fee management, and then we'll certainly be able to bolt on Walmart next. We are here right in Walmart's. We're headquartered here in Walmart country, and so that would be the next platform for us is adding Walmart to the market.
Do the other vendors, non-Amazon vendors, do the problems manifest differently over there?
It all goes back to the same nucleus of problems. And it makes sense. The problem is really held with the retailers. Retailers are now starting to see this somewhat. They maybe not want to actually say this, but they're seeing these fees as somewhat of a profit center. And it's a profit center that is really held with no accountability. So they're able to kind of dial this up and down. So when you have someone like Amazon, and Amazon is certainly out front further than anybody else in terms of the technology they're leveraging to get so many of these chargebacks. I mean, it's literally, it's so many things. You didn't have the expiration date on your Coke can at the right place. Your barcode should have been in the upper left-hand corner versus the upper right-hand corner. And what makes it so difficult for these retailers to keep up with this is the guidelines continue to change. They add new chargebacks. So you almost think about a tax code and it's changing every couple of months. It's just tremendously hard for even a sizable team, someone like Mars, the Mars organization, which is a client of ours, they have 10 people that's on their team that deals with just this. They just don't have the visibility to it and keep up with it.
So why don't you go?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but I will. So why don't they just outsource the entire problem to you rather than subscribing to the software? If it takes 10 people to do it, seems
that's our product.
Pardon me?
That's exactly our product. Our product is, why would they try to do this themselves? And from the brand standpoint, Mars organization or Sanofi, if I'm understanding your question properly.
Right. Are you offering software or software plus consulting services that take on the problem, and so you own it, and then you get a commission on the recovery?
Yes, that's exactly what we do, and that's really what sets us apart. Many others, you think about the competition that's out there, there's others that have just a SaaS tool, or it's just offering different data sets, and then they put that up on the organization to try to say, hey, now make sense of this. Well, that's really not solving the problem. So we're looking at this from a historical standpoint, getting the data, sorting the data, but then the other point is to go forward. So if you think about the go forward, our goal is to minimize these fees from occurring. So our software is ChargeGuard Insight. They're able to log into that. They see narrative stories that actually gives them insights that says, for example, hey, Scott, the fulfillment center in Dallas, Texas had 20% of this month's chargebacks. We should look into that. Now we can have a conversation with that brand about would it make sense for us just to pay Amazon an extra 5 cents to just avoid the Dallas, Texas fulfillment center. They charged us $80,000 last month. Let's pay $5,000 to avoid them altogether. So it really is two things we're doing. Historical, recovering that money, but then also they're able to see that even from someone at the CFO level or the CEO level can log into our software, understand actually what's happening with these fees. And then we also meet with them on a monthly or quarterly basis to mitigate these fees. And here's what's driving these costs.
Yeah, I'm still not clear on the origin of the problem. So is it a situation where you use the example of a barcode not being in the right place? Is that on the outside packaging, the external packaging, on the shipment as a whole, or on the individual unit?
All of the above. Amazon actually has over 40 different types of chargebacks. And so it may be something like, it's also sometimes not even something specifically on the product. There is one of the leading types of chargeback is what's called on-time shipments. Amazon gives a window, for instance. that you have once they send a purchase order that you have to ship out in. And that's generally a 2 to 3 day window. If you ship before, that's a chargeback. If you ship after that, of course, that's a chargeback. But then also on the product itself, it may be a prep and bagging type of chargeback. A prep and bagging type of chargeback is, let's say it is a glass bottle and it has to have bubble wrap around it. You didn't have the bubble wrap on it, so that's a chargeback. So it is multiple places throughout the logistics and supply chain that Amazon is looking to apply chargebacks.
Thank you. I get it. Thank you.
One
John?
last question,
Oh.
John, sorry. What is your churn rate? What's with the customers? How sticky are they?
Extremely. We have not yet lost a client. Obviously, we're still fairly newer, but that is part of our goal, is to change the Amazon fee experience. When we first started, we really talked about the recovery efforts. Hey, it's about cost recovery. We saw the problem was actually bigger than that. And so what ChargeGuard is really doing is changing the Amazon fee experience. So when they are logging into ChargeGuard Insight, every day they get an update in terms of, hey, you had 2 new chargebacks yesterday, which they can't see in Amazon by itself. Whatever that insight is, it's not just a dashboard. They're logging in every day to get a real feel. And what we're trying to do is there'd be no way that they're going to be able to do fee management, not just for Amazon, but any other type of fee management without what we built with ChargeGuard Insight.
What are your terms right now for the 4 million raise?
Is with a 15% discount. And we were looking at, they say we can actually do a safe or convertible note.
Is there a cap on it?
We are open to doing a cap. The cap would be at 20 million if we do a cap.
Okay, thank you.
John, what's the split with your CSRs? And is that the long-term, market plan? Or if you had a lot of money, would you just have employees?
Another wonderful question. So the split is, we actually have something that we drill down the commissions that we get down to what we call the production revenue. So what we actually do, we have a bit of an equation where it shows what our actual costs were for that money, the portion that we recovered. That net of that is what's called the production revenue, but the net ends up being anywhere from 15% to 25% that goes to our CRSs. And to your next portion of your question, we were just talking about this. Right now, we love the aspect of having, that's how we've got so much brand notoriety right now. For instance, when you're going to Amazon seminars and things like that, you are seeing an army of ChargeGuard certified recovery specialists. That is what we want. And so whenever you think about that, ChargeGuard is what should be and solidified in any brand's mind that's doing business on Amazon. Now, some of them are going to be more successful than others. Of those 220 certified recovery specialists we have, there's a group of maybe 20 to 25 that is their full-time, this is what they do, and they're making a great living doing this, or in projection to make a great living doing this. But what we are looking to build is an in-house sales team that's going to be able to assist them at a greater level. When you have some of the larger accounts like a Mars or a Santa Fe, they need a little bit of additional assistance to help get those across the finish line. And that's how we'd like to support them. I'll give you an example. My background is at Merrill Lynch prior to me getting into e-commerce. Merrill Lynch works on a similar model that we're building with our CRSs. Me as an investment representative, I was under the Merrill Lynch umbrella. I was out obviously getting my own clients. I would service those clients. I would own that relationship, but I'd be able to leverage the back end.
Okay, so I think you had 5 exit time. Also, it looks like Judge had lots of questions. James, please, you missed our introduction period. Let's finish this one, we'll move on. And you have questions, I know what